I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for being here. I'm really happy you decided to spend some time with me today. So I have been seeing lately all of these kind of self-love, like love yourself kind of journal. You know, you can't really love anybody else until you love yourself. It's that same, you know, before you can help somebody else on an airplane, you have to put your own oxygen mask on. Hey guys, sorry, my kitties are wrestling a little bit over here. So I have been seeing these a lot lately. I saw two different people mention them, not do one, but mention making one in a couple of different maker videos. And then I was looking on just for some ideas, and I was looking online and I just saw some ideas, and there were a bazillion of them for sale, printed ones, not necessarily handmade ones, although those are probably for sale too in some places. But I decided I wanted to make one. Lately I have been kind of on a internal spiritual journey, and so I feel like I need to recognize the things that I like about myself. And there are some physical things I need to learn to, you know, accept my body better, which many of us struggle with, I know. But there are many things about myself and my life that I like. And so I thought if I recognize some of the things about myself that I liked, and maybe many of the things in my life that I am grateful for, I am extremely lucky in many ways. And I think I need to spend more time thinking about that. So in order to do that, I'm going to make a self-love, you know, love yourself kind of journal. And my thought is that I want it to be an interesting shape. One of the people who was talking about, you know, who talked in passing about it, said that she made hers in the shape of a heart. And she was inspired by a medieval book that she had seen. And I did look at that book online. That was really awesome. But I didn't want a heart shape. That, to me, that just seemed like other people were doing hearts and things. And I saw, it didn't really speak to me anyway. Even if everybody else were doing it, if it spoke to me, I would have done it. But what speaks to me really is peacocks. So I really think that I love peacocks. Last week we did that phoenix, you know, rise up from the ashes phoenix layout. And a phoenix, of course, is a mythical bird, but the peacock is often associated as the actual bird that goes with a phoenix. And my whole bedroom is done in peacocks, and I collect peacocks, and yeah. So anyway, to that end, I thought, you know, what's the basic shape of a peacock tail? And it's a fan. So I went and found one of my fans. Obviously this came from the Bahamas when we were there on vacation. So I found this, and I used this to draw my basic fan shape. Now, if you don't have something, you could use a plate. You can definitely use drawing tools. I started on this side and kind of did some overlapping and decided I didn't want the point in the middle. I mean, I could have and then gone up with points, but it was a little bit different idea. So this is kind of a fan. It's also kind of a clamshell look. So depending on what you put on the front or the inside, you could definitely make it, you know, clamshell. And I have an idea on how I might make the book reversible. So like one side is clamshell and you open it and we do gratitude, and the other side is you know, peacock, and it's what I love about myself, because, you know, peacocks are not necessarily about being overly proud, but they are certainly not afraid to put their plumage on display. So things that I love about myself seems to go with that. So I'm thinking that I might be able to do a reversible. So I'm not really sure yet. I haven't really decided how that might look. Maybe just halfway through the book, it goes the other way. So not sure, thinking about that. So as you can see, I used my fan and I drew down this way a little bit to get a place to bind. Now I'm gonna use a comb binding that flips because I think it'll lie flatter, and with my reversible idea, I'm not really sure what other kind of, I mean, you could definitely sew a binding if you wanted to, but I just didn't feel like doing that. You could use ring binders, you know, just a couple of rings in here to keep it together would certainly be a good choice. So I drew it on a file folder, and I'm just gonna cut, this is gonna be my template. Well, this is actually gonna be my cover. And then I'm gonna use this as a template for the pages as well. So let's give this a quick cut and see where we are. When I was tracing, I didn't quite get it straight on the paper because I didn't measure to start with. Because I'm less interested in perfection than I am in just kind of getting the feel of what I want. So if you want to make sure that yours is centered and straight and that kind of stuff, go for it. You know, I think everybody should just kind of do it how they like to do it. To me, measuring is a little too perfect, but there are people who measure and are happy doing that, and I'm happy to let anybody do that if they want to. Not that I could stop you, but you know what I mean. I would never disparage somebody for not doing it the way I did it. Okay, the other thing, I probably should have done this before I cut them apart. The other thing is I drew some little triangles here just to give it, instead of just the fan shape, I kind of wanted that feather, shape, which is kind of a scallop. But I didn't want to round it all. I'm okay with it being kind of stylized. I think that's more interesting. It doesn't have to be literal. I think stylized is good. So I still have the front and back pieces here together. So let's see, do we want to do a triangle, like half a triangle on the edge, so that the edge is also cut in? I don't think so. I don't want it to be too complicated because I am gonna have to cut out all the papers by hand. So I don't want it to be really hard to cut out, which a curve would have been maybe easier, but I feel like this, you can cut this way and then just do the little divots, and that would be an easier way to go. All right, so there's the front and back cover of my journal. And I feel like, you could go this way. It could open like this. So I could do top and bottom. Oh, it almost looks like wings. Oh, look at that. That's kind of wing looking, isn't it? That might be fun. So I've got, we've got kind of a clamshell, peacock feathers, wings, gosh, all kinds of shapes going on there. All right, so this is my cover, and I'm gonna put paper on it on both sides and kind of reinforce a little bit. It's cardstock, but it's not super heavy. But this is just a journal for me. It doesn't have to need a heavy cover. And like I said, because I'm going to use like a little comb binding here, I don't want it to be too heavy. I want it to go in my binder. So we're gonna have to try out one and see how it goes. So the next step is I want to trace a pattern for my paper. Now I could use this one, but I really would like it to be about 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way around so that the paper fits inside the cover. So let's see, would that, I guess maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch all the way around. So I'm thinking I just need to retrace this and then use my ruler to move in a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Because too, when you trace around a pattern, you're going around the outside of it just a little bit. So, if I cut along the outside of it, my paper might be a little bit bigger than my cover. And if you like that look, go for it. I like mine definitely inside. So let's see, maybe 1/4 inch is too much. If I bump it in 1/4 this way, it'll just all be kind of, but it'll come in a little, so it'll pull it away from the edge. So maybe I don't want to bump it 1/4 here. See, you can see it's a little wonky here. It's a little higher on one side than the other. Now would be the time to fix that, but if I did, I could take it here, Nah, I'm okay with it being a little wonky. So if I pull it in 1/4 inch here, that would pull it 1/4 inch this way. See, now I'm second guessing how that's gonna work. So do I want to leave it? Do I just want to take 1/4 inch from here and leave this part so that it binds easily? Maybe I want the center to be about the same. Let's see, there's 1/2 inch, there's 1/4. So is that what I want to do? If I just take it, if I used to use the little marks, maybe that's what I want to do. And not take any off of this part, just pull it in. So, we'll experiment, we'll try it and see. We'll see how it works. Could be to here. Oh gosh, see, now I'm not really sure. Do I stop cutting here? Is that too much? Maybe that's too much all the way around. Maybe I want like 1/2 of that. Gosh. Okay, I think maybe I need to trace a piece of paper and see how that's going to fit on the inside. So let's just use one of these. Let's see how it's going to fit between the pages. Maybe that would be the way to go, is to make it fit and then so you see the problem here. I'm thinking I can draw the pattern and then clip maybe 3 or 4 pieces of paper together and cut them all at once. So let's see how this works. If I just cut, maybe I really don't need to take any off. I just cut to the inside of that line instead of the outside of it. Maybe that would be the way to go. I feel like I'm going to make it harder than it has to be. And I don't want to do that. I feel like this is worth, making something interesting. It's worth my time to do that. But I don't want to make it any harder than it has to be. So if I just maybe cut slightly to the inside of the lines, maybe that is. Maybe that's the way to go. We'll see. My plan is to kind of make it a combination journal slash glue book. So I'm thinking that I could journal on one side. Oop, I didn't do a very good job on that, did I? Okay, here's gonna be the problem, isn't it? Oh, well, it goes this way and they're not even. Oh. Ooh, this is not good. Well, yeah, I guess I mean, as long as it goes that way. As long as it goes the right way in. Okay. I do think it needs to be slightly smaller. But, let's see, if we cut off a little here, I'm not even measuring now, so you see. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out how it's gonna work. And I think then once you figure out how it's gonna work, it's a little easier to, okay, and then I'm gonna cut this, but I wanna cut straight up. Because I just don't think I wanna mess with where the binding is gonna go. You know, and that is half the battle is figuring out how it's gonna work. So I think once you know how something's gonna work, then you can make your template and, you know, so that's not even an even cut. I just chopped it off. So now let's see how we're doing here. If this goes here still, that makes it a little smaller up there. Okay, that's much better, I think. Then we've got a little bit of an edge. See, then when we flip it open, it still matches here for the binding, but the sides and the top are a little smaller. And let's see, do we need to cut those in a little more? Or should we just leave them? No, I think that's good. All right. And you know what? I don't even care if it's exact. I'm thinking might just use this as my template now. I got a little more here and a little less here, so I could cut maybe just slightly more off of this piece. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that was easier. I do want the template to be cardstock though, so it will be easier to draw around. So let's line that up here. And then I can cut out a cardstock one that I can trace around. And then it will just be a matter of picking some papers. You know, and if it's not exact, it's okay. I am trying to let go of perfectionism. Which, you know, should not be a problem for me since I was never really perfect to start with. All right, so this is still here, but this is a little less wide. Go. Alrighty. Okay, so the next trick then will just be to pull out some papers. I need to decide how many I want and whether or not I can do a double-sided. So I will pull out some papers and cut them out, and then I will come back to show you that decision, and maybe we'll do the cover today. So I'll be back in a few. Okay, I'm back. I have cut out some papers. They're not perfect, but I think they'll line up and be okay. Once I get it all bound, if I need to trim a little, you know, so that the little edges line up inside perfectly, then I'll do that. But I want to show you what I came up with. So I ended up doing 10 papers for each side, and I do think it's going to be reversible. And the way I achieved that is when I used my template, I cut 10 right side up, and then I flipped the template over and cut 10 upside down so that they would go the other way, so they'd face the other way. So I'll show you how this is going to look. I haven't covered the cardstock yet. I have some paper that I'm going to do that with, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to decorate it and whether or not I want the book to go this way or this way. And once I get it bound, I'll decide that. So basically, we have the front, and then as we get inside, the writing that I'm going to do will be on the really pretty paper. So the back side will be covered with something, maybe a collage, maybe an art piece, something. But the whole, I will cover it. Maybe I'll paint it, you know, and cover it with something. I don't know, but these papers, so this obviously would be really hard to write on because it has paint and stenciling and stuff all over it. So I might write on a piece of coffee dyed notebook paper and then glue that in. But the journaling will go on the pretty paper, and then the back will get covered. So I might glue book on this, and then I would journal here, and whatever goes on here will go with this journaling. So for example, if I decided, thinking about what do I like about myself, if I just start with the physical things, there are lots of things that I don't like about my body, like many of us. But one of the things I do like is I like my eyes. I feel like my eyes are expressive, and they're kind of a bright, odd color blue. As a matter of fact, until we started seeing the colored contacts, lots of people commented on my eyes and the color of my eyes because it looks like I'm wearing colored contacts, but I'm not. They're just my eyes. And so when we started seeing those, people just started assuming that I had on, you know, like these aqua colored contacts. But one of the things I like about myself is the color of my eyes. So I might write about, you know, my experience with how I felt when people complimented me, and when I look in the mirror and I look in my eyes, you know, and now they're crinkly and, you know, wrinkly and things like that, but there's still, that bright blue is still there. So I might, you know, write about that and put that on this page. And then on this page, I would put some kind of representation. So I might collage a bunch of eyes and then draw or paint an eye and put it over the top. You know, maybe I would do that as an all-seeing eye, that kind of thing, right? So that's kind of the idea here. And so there'll be journaling and picture. So the backs are all kind of wonky, nasty, but that's okay because they're going to get covered, or they're just plain like that one. So journaling, picture, some of the paper is two-sided, but that's okay. Most of it is not. Some of it is stuff that I've painted, like this is all smushed around ink on a book page. And then some of it is scrapbook paper. And so here's the middle, here's the divider. So here's where it's going to be the other side. So at that point, when you reach that point, you close the book and you turn it over. And then you have this way, right? The writing and the pictures, the writing and the pictures. So you can, you know, we can flip it, right? So we can do it this way, and then we'll do it this way. So, and I'm thinking on one side, on the front, this side, that I will do things that I like about myself. I think I have a good sense of humor. I think I'm funny. you know, and I'm not good at telling jokes. I just think I'm good at, you know, making quick remarks and things like that. So, you know, I'm going to do that. And then when I get to the other side, which I guess flips this way, when I get to the other side, I thought I might do things I'm grateful for, right? So I might start with, you know, and probably here I'll put in, you know, gratitude and something about gratitude. And then I'll write things that I'm grateful for. There are days when I am pretty darn grateful to have, you know, clean running water, because much of the world does not. You know, and when I see, and honestly, when I see the disasters and things in other parts of the world, and the living conditions and some of them, it makes me very sad. And I am extremely grateful. So I might, you know, journal about, you know, having clean running water and do waterfalls or rivers or something. So that is my plan. So at this point, I'm gonna put some papers over the covers for inside and out to kind of reinforce them so that they're a little heavier. I had actually thought I would put fabric on there, and then I realized that if I'm going to put that through my comb binder, it's not going to punch those holes through fabric and lace and things like that. It just won't do it. It's an older one. So there are machines that will do that. Mine will not. It doesn't like anything that's very thick. It doesn't, I mean, it would just, you know, chew it. So it's just going to ruin it if I do that. I thought about like just putting some cardboard or something here and then putting fabric here, which is a possibility, but I decided that it would be better maybe to just reinforce the whole thing with some paper. And then if I want to put pieces of fabric or something on the front, I could do that. So if it's just covered, then I can glue some snippets of fabric or little cutouts or something like that. I do think I'm gonna go through my stash and see if I can find, I think a peacock, an illustration of a peacock for the front, and then I think a dolphin for the back. So I'll show you the paper I've chosen. I have some scrapbook paper that is this kind of marble with gold in it, which I think is really pretty. So I thought this kind of blue-green I would put on the back where the dolphin's gonna go, and this kind of purpley I'd put on the front. Purple is the color of royalty, and peacocks are often associated with royalty. So I thought I would put that on the front. And then on the inside front cover, I just have some music paper that I'm going to put on there just so that it's finished. And I might put, maybe I'll write what this book is about, or, you know, that kind of stuff here, or do an initial, just a single something here. Maybe about the peacock and the dolphin. Maybe I'll write about peacocks and then put another one here, you know, that kind of thing. Just so I've got like a starting point. So I'm going to glue those on. I'm just going to glue this paper on and cut around it and put the binding comb in, and then I will be back to show you how the book looks. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have glued the papers on the inside and outside of the front and back cover, and I've put a comb binding on. You can see I've chose a pretty large comb binding. This holds up to like 120 pieces of paper, I think. And I only have, you know, 20 pieces of paper and 3 pieces of cardstock. So there's a lot of room. I have a fatter one that holds like 150 sheets that I didn't put on, and then I have a couple smaller ones too, like there's one that's 90 sheets. So when I'm done with it, depending on how fat the binding is, like if it feels like this is too big, I'll put a smaller one on. If it feels like this isn't big enough, I can put a larger one on. It's really just a matter of popping the binding open and moving the things over. So this is how we're looking. So we have this peacock side all put together here. Kind of greens and purples. Right. Then there's our center that tells us it's time to flip. We flip it over and we have the dolphin side with the blues and greens. So there's kind of a greeny running through. There's green runs all through it. but it's kind of blue and green on one side and purple and green on the other. So it all still goes together. So the real question then is whether I want to open it side to side like this so that it becomes, you know, almost wings or a bow tie, you know, or do we want to open it this way so that it's, you know, flipped up with a top and a bottom, although I think it would be, yeah, I think maybe we'd want to open it down so that the writing and the fancy paper would be at the top, and then there the art would be illustrative here, so there'd be writing and art. And I'm thinking I kind of like it this way. So if I turn it over and open it down, that was the same way I just had it, right? So turn it over, open it down. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe from the top might be kind of a fun way to go with this. And then it'll open differently, and it can kind of live on a shelf, you know, sitting upright, or, you know, kind of like this. So then it looks like a fan. It looks like the peacock feathers. It looks like the clamshell. It's got all of those kind of feelings to it, I think. So, all right. I think we are going to leave it here for today. I still need to decorate the cover, but I need to go through my images and see if I can find, you know, a peacock and a dolphin and things like that. Maybe even I'll make a little fan and put it behind to emphasize the shape. I'm not really sure yet. I did want to put some fabric on there, so I might have to pull out some scraps and see what I've got. But I think that's a project for another day. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up. Excuse me. You can definitely leave me a comment. Have you made something, a book that's not a shape that's normally book shaped? Have you done a journal about taking care of yourself and loving things about yourself? You know, let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, remember, use what you have to make your life more beautiful. Bye.